And we are live. Good to see you, folks. Good to see you. Got election results from last night, a bit of a mixed bag. Let's dig into it. Good morning, everybody. Yesterday was one hell of a day. It was one hell of a day. We had some special elections yesterday. But before we get into it, I would like to do just a quick shout out to Senator Cory Booker. Just set the record for the longest filibuster speech, surpassing Strom Thurmond. Amazing job. This is the kind of stuff that we need. This is the kind of fighting that we need. Shout out to Senator Booker for reading the room and understanding the moment. Just good job. Good job. I can't tell you, try standing somewhere for 24 hours, much less talking for 24 hours. It without break, without bathroom break. And when Strom Thurmond did it, he got dinner, he got bathroom breaks, and none of that exists now. None of that exists now. Cory Booker stood there for 24 hours, 25 hours actually. And I am glad to see that the record for the longest filibuster is on saving our democracy, saving our country. I am so glad that mark in our history book will be annotated with something like that rather than the racist bullshit screed that Strom Thurmond was spewing upon the country when he set his record. This is not so much, Greg. And there's a lot of planning and preparation that goes into someone that's going to stand there and speak for 24 hours. And one of the things that is required is a catheter. So yeah, it was. You think he did? Some people think, don't talk about that. It takes away from the moment. No, to me it doesn't. That man was catheterized to give that speech. That's commitment, brother. That is commitment. So yeah, hats off to Cory Booker. That was badass. That was badass. Jordan here says Senator Booker is a strong leader. Senator Booker started strong and ended stronger. Yeah, that was the amazing part to me. When you stand there, I mean, just try standing for 24 hours, period. But when you give a filibuster, you tend to get weaker as you go because you're becoming exhausted, mentally exhausted. I challenge you, go watch some of the clips from the later part of his speech. He is just as lucid, just as strong as he was in the beginning of his speech. I think he probably could have gone longer, actually, if he had chosen to. But amazing job. I cannot, as someone that stresses to people all the time, hey, try this, sit and talk for 2 hours on the hour and a half, 2 hours on a subject, see how you do. Just to actually talk for 24 hours. His staff did an amazing job. You have to have notes laid out, subject matter laid out that you actually understand. I mean, I cannot stress to you, as somebody that actually speaks, to see somebody pull this off I'm in awe. I am in awe. I've always liked Cory Booker. I've always respected Cory Booker, but this is a whole nother level. So let's get into it. I don't shy away from negative news. I don't shy away from the bad news. And there's a lot of people that are going to try to spin this as a good thing. A loss is never a good thing. Never. And we need to take away from yesterday's elections. We lost 2 in Florida. The news that's coming out, everybody's putting a positive spin on it. Well, yeah, there is something good that came out of yesterday's elections in Florida. There is. But bullshit. I call bullshit on saying that losing is a good thing. It's not. It's not. There's an entire segment of the Florida population, Florida elderly population, that went to the polls yesterday and voted for 2 men that are going to rubber stamp gutting their Medicare and screwing their Social Security. And there's no way around that. And we shouldn't soft pedal it. We shouldn't sugarcoat it. These were the stupidest, most idiotic, dumb voters I have ever seen in my life. Democrats, they did. They busted ass. They did. They busted ass. But what do we take from it as Democrats? That we still have some work to do on our brand and some work to do on our messaging. Don't soft sell it to ourselves. We don't. We're better off when we don't. We're better off when we don't. Take a look at why we lost and let's work on that. Even if it is, the answer is Republicans are dumb sons of bitches. Accept that and realize, okay, now we've got to figure out A, how to get these people to stay home, or B, how to get these people to understand how to vote for their own damn self-interest. Forgive me, these allergies, boy, I tell you what, everything is covered in yellow pollen outside. Whew, it is a mess around here. Definitely going to need a lot of coffee today. Definitely going to need a lot of coffee today. Going to lose the voice today. Sorry about the big gulp there. But let's take a look at what the politicos are looking at in the election. Let's do it. Let's dig into it. These are the results. This is from District 6. Randy Fine, just a garbage human being. I cannot believe that people voted for this. I mean, it's just the sheer stupidity, the massive amount of stupidity and just sorry character you would have to show up and vote for a piece of trash like Randy Fine. But 110,000, almost 111,000 Floridians did. There you go. 56.7% to 42.7% for Josh Wheel. Now, what do you take from that? Well, besides the fact that we lost, you got to understand, you've got to take a look at prior elections. This is just from November. This is from November, the last election in November, when Mike Walz ran for that seat. He got 66.5% of the vote compared to James Stockton's 33.5%. Folks, those are huge, titanic shifts. I am telling you, as somebody that follows elections, that is right now in Republican circles, the earth is I don't know if you've ever been in an earthquake and seen the way the earth just moves beneath your feet. That is what's going on in Republican circles right now today. There is no one that is happy in Republican circles today at all. Karen and Mimbo, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the show. I'm truly grateful. ET, we showed up in deep red districts, and today it is less red than before. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is the takeaway. Pamela Bradley, thank you for supporting the show. I appreciate it. All right. If you look at these numbers, that is a shift from Republicans by 10%, for Democrats plus 10%. You're talking about a 20-point swing. That tells you, folks, just how deeply unpopular the Republican Party and the Trump regime is right now. That is what we're looking at going into the midterms. Let's look at the first district before we do a summary. Let's look at the first district. This is the first district, in which case, idiotic, stupid, I cannot stress it enough, moronic Republican voters showed up to vote for a sleaze bag like Jimmy Patronis. I mean, this guy is just dirt. And he's going to rubber stamp screwing over their Medicare. He's going to rubber stamp screwing over their Social Security. He is going to be on his knees licking Trump's taint this morning. And that's who they voted for. That's who they voted for. But again, you're talking about a 14-point spread, little over 14-point spread. For reference, historic reference, this is the election that they just had in November 2024, just a few months ago. Was 66-34. It was a 32-point spread. So, yeah, you're talking about another 20 points there, folks, in each district. And these are the reddest of red districts. They really are. I mean, just this is what these districts are what Republicans call home. That is like expecting LA to be within 10 to 12 points for Republicans. That doesn't happen. Not even close. Not even close. I cannot stress to you how much these numbers are nightmare fuel for Republicans right now. It is, I mean, it is right now in Republican circles, they are having come to Jesus meetings and really thinking about what they're going to do from here on out. As far as that's concerned, you understood the assignment and you got it done. You got it done. On top of that, they pulled out all the stops. And you know what? I really want to touch on this one more time before we leave Florida. There is no way to sugarcoat a loss. Yes, the postmortems, people like me that are into politics, we're going to be like, ooh, midterms. Yes, this is looking good. We need to keep this up. We have found our footing and we are digging in, because with these kind of numbers, Florida's blue. Yeah. If you had those kind of numbers in District 1 and District 6 in a presidential year election, Florida is blue. So yeah, you're going to get guys like me and people that, you know, the analysts, the people that are running the campaigns, they're all going to be like, ooh, I will not. This last election in November that was life-changing for me. I will never make the mistake of undercalculating the stupidity of some people out there. I will never make that mistake again. This was a loss. Don't ever write it off. It was as anything else. It was a loss, and we need to figure out how to gain even more. I am not okay in this situation with the Republicans doing this kind of work. My goal is 50 frickin' states blue. That is what I'm looking at. I am not okay with the fact that, yes, this looks amazing for the midterms. Those numbers are amazing for Democrats in the midterms, but I will not stop fighting. I swear to God, this is not, no. Any loss, I will not accept. I will not accept it. I don't care what district it is. And I'm going to tell you just a little preview of Friday's show. I got a surprise guest coming for you. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but talking about not accepting losses, you're going to love it. You're just going to want to be here for Friday. You're going to want to be here for the Inquisitive Prince. As a former Republican converted to progressive after George W. Bush debacle, I say it again. I know the Republicans. We must fight them at every turn, whether win, lose, or draw. Amen. Amen. Pet friendly. Bernie and AOC could rally with the wild voters, should rally with the wild voters ASAP. It would make an impact. Great comment, and thank you for supporting the show. I want to touch on this. This is what I want to take away. This is what I want you taking away, and what I am taking away from Florida. Not good enough. And we need to look at why. We need to look at our brand. We need to look at the fact over the last several election cycles, because the corporate media is against us. The corporate media is working actively for the Republicans. We need to understand we cannot keep having the conversations they want us to have. The last several election cycles, we have been discussing what they want to discuss. And you know it. This is an interactive show. I'd love to see in the comments, what were the major subjects of conversation over the last several election cycles? Just throw it up there real quick if you don't mind. Vincent Day, thank you for supporting the show. I appreciate it. I appreciate you, my friend. I appreciate you. Just throw them out there. The last several elections, what were the subjects of conversation? What were the topics when you saw somebody standing on the news talking about something, whether they were Democrat or Republican? What was the subject matter? Alexia B., thank you for being here. Yeah, it is gross. Glenn Kaneko, it is gross. And I don't accept it. I don't. I really don't accept it. Exactly, Jordan. Never be satisfied. Come on, folks. This is a live show for a reason, so that we can interact and talk. What is it? What are the things that have been dominating the conversations? Bingo, abortion. Who wants to talk about abortion? The Republicans do. And there's a whole segment of the Democratic society, the Democratic establishment that says, oh, no, we can win on that. No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. Voters don't vote to say thank you. Voters vote to say fuck you. And they're not going to thank us enough for supporting rights compared to what the Republicans are going to get out of it in their turnout machine. Immigration, exactly. Exactly. The anti-immigration Republican conversation that they want to talk about, very negative, very motivating. What is motivating about, what is sexy about a candidate telling you, I'm a Democrat, I'm going to fix our immigration system? Woo, that's kind of your job, man. Thank you. Christianity. Yeah, bingo. Bingo. The trans nonsense. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm telling you, folks, I am telling you, we support our LGBTQ plus brothers. I'm telling you, I've told you, I have a grandchild that is gay. I am telling you, I have friends that are gay. This is my family. I will die on that hill. I will never allow gay people to be treated as second-class citizens. But if they are the conversation going into an election, we lose. We lose. Why? 70%, 80% of the country's not gay. And we have seen in this last election, if there's anything to take away from the last election, it is they ain't us. You know, I will walk into a booth and it will mean something to me. If I see the Republicans trying to take, attacking our LGBTQ plus brothers and sisters, I will vote against that. I will show up and I will vote against that. But if anything from the last several elections has shown us is that out there, they ain't us. I know you people. I know you would show up to protect our LGBTQ plus members of our society. I know you would. It would be an issue enough for you to show up and vote. But we have to learn from these last few elections. We have to learn that the average American ain't that high quality. They aren't. If it doesn't directly affect them, they ain't voting. Not your way. And we have to remember that. So we have midterms coming up it is what is it, 18 months, 19 months? Folks, think about that. We're in the 4th month of 2025. The midterms are in the 11th month of 2026. Do the math. That's not even 18 months, folks. And we have to rebrand the Democratic Party and refocus our messaging. We cannot keep having the conversations Republicans want to have. And the Trump regime is handing us conversations in spades. I told you, they're incompetent. They're going to hurt people. And we need to never let that go and keep going at it. That's my takeaway from Florida. Not good enough. Not good enough. James Hutchinson, thank you for supporting the show. Thank you, my friend. Alto Eager, only a little late. So thank you, my friend. I really appreciate you being here. You folks being here is what it's all about. I really did. I watched those results last night, and then I got some texts from some folks, and I watched people really freaking excited about these results, and I just got more pissed off and more pissed off and more pissed off because it ain't good enough. Yeah, sure, it looks great for the midterms. Awesome. Not good enough. Until there are 50 freaking blue states. Not good enough. Folks, I'm telling you, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be negative about that. I don't. We're going to talk, stick with me. We're going to talk about some good news here in a minute. We're going to talk about some things that are going on. But damn it, we must look at our messaging. We're not talking to you and me. We aren't. We've got that core base. We are. We have got to start talking about the issues in front of us. Signalgate, the fact that Republicans are incompetent. And I'll tell you, I watched a lot of clips. There are not a lot of clips coming out of Cory Booker's filibuster. There aren't. He cracked 0 skulls in that filibuster. And that's what we need to be doing. We need to be talking about exactly how gross these people are, how incompetent they are, how badly they fail us at every single turn. They want to talk to, a trans athlete spiked a ball on a girl and hit her in the face, in West Virginia, and then I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I don't even give a shit if she's okay. I don't care. I don't want to talk about it. I will not talk about it. What I will talk about is the fact that we've got Trump screwing over NATO and destabilizing the world. And we're going to talk more about that later on in the show after we finish with the election results. I am telling you, yesterday left me pissed. Don't kill me. I'm just a vibe. Thank you for being here, my friend. Texas Paul, once back in power, will Democrats go back to business as usual? Not if I no. And you're going to love Friday's show. You're going to love Friday's show. Or will they go after Elon, Doge, and Trump because we, the people, want to see them pay for the fascist power grab? There's going to be a lot of sweeping up the broken glass. There's going to be a lot of fixing shit once we get power. Like It happens every damn time. Every time the Republicans come in, they destroy the economy. We spend our term in office fixing all the crap they broke instead of pushing our agenda through. That's over, my friend. That is over. If I have anything to do with it, I'm going to spend the next 18 months beating the crap out of Democratic norms. Democratic Party norms. I am. I really am. And I think most people are with me on that. Silly Beeboo, a trans woman English teacher at Red Oak High School, stepped down because libs of TikTok doxed her. My state representatives aided the vitriol against her. Great. What does that do for us in the next election? Horrible thing that happened. Horrible thing that happened. We just filled the space with that. 70 to 80% of the American people are not gay or trans, and they are not us. We must remember they are not us. So it's okay to motivate you and me with that, but taking that out into social media where you're talking to Donnie Dumbass, we're doing it wrong. We're doing it wrong. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, my friend. I will not quit till we have 50 blue frickin' states. And on that note, the good news is this happened in Wisconsin. This happened in Wisconsin. Amen. 10-point blowout. 1.2 million, 1,286,748 Wisconsinites showed up and did the right thing. Bad news, 1,050,816 Republicans showed up and were complete idiots. 10 points, folks. Susan Crawford did it, and that is huge because Republicans pulled out all stops on that race. Susan Crawford did a great job. You did a great job. Y'all did an amazing job in Wisconsin, and y'all did in Florida too. You did an amazing job. We have gotten Democrats motivated and showing up, but we can do better. We can do better. Folks, you had Elon Musk just pissing money away in Wisconsin, pissing it away. That moron was showing up all over Wisconsin. He was bribing people, just handing out checks in Wisconsin. They spent an ungodly amount of money on that race. Why? Why did they do it? Why were they so in on this, this particular race? Why? We'll pause the election results for a second. We need to talk about that. There is no going forward for Republicans without gerrymandering, without cheating. Exactly. They had to have one second credit there. Peter Campbell, gerrymandering. Absolutely. They cannot go forward without voter suppression and gerrymandering. They just cannot do it. They cannot do it. They are screwing the pooch. The Trump regime cannot govern. They are filled with morons and imbeciles, and we're going to talk about some of that in a little bit, but they are. They're going to do nothing but fuel the backlash against them for the next 4 years. And they knew they had to be able to do really sickening shit, or they're going to lose Wisconsin. And they're going to lose it for probably 2 decades. That's what you did yesterday, folks. That's what you did. You secured a path. Now, it's not a freebie. We can't not show up. We can't not do the work. There are no freebies in this. All I'm promising you is work for the rest of your natural life. That's it. No pie in the sky bullshit, sunshine, flowers, and little bitty bees are going to come along and everything's going to be great. And all you got to do is sit home and sip coffee. Bullshit. I'm promising you work. That's what I'm promising you. But at the end of that work, we will make the country a better place. We will. That's what you did last night, by the way. When you kept the Supreme Court of Wisconsin liberal, you prevented laws from going into place in Wisconsin that would allow them to cheat. And electorally, that is everything. That has national implications. That's why they spent tens of millions of dollars on this race. Lincoln, my man, thank you for being here. I'm in constant contact with a Ukrainian man. He knows Putin's playbook. He feels like we have created a fissure. He says we must up the protests on street level. We can't forget Ukraine. We can't let it just go by the past. And we're going to talk some more about it. That's also something we're going to be talking about. There's a segment on Putin here in a minute. Stick with me, brother, man. As a Mortal Kombat player, I think they should press charges against Elon for lying about playing video games. That's funny, Balt. That is funny. If y'all don't know what he's talking about, Elon Musk is pathetic. He really is pathetic. He is a grifter. Promise, promise, promise. Fake bullshit all around him. Unfulfilled promises. He even pays people to play video games so that he can pretend to be impressive and relate to the young dudes. He pays people to play video games on his accounts to advance his account so he can look like he's a good gamer. He's a moron. He is. He is a complete moron. Again, for some reference, with Republicans fighting like their lives depended on it because politically it did, with Elon Musk pulling out all stops, everything, they did not move the needle an inch. This was from 2023. This was the Supreme Court election from 2023 in Wisconsin, where Janet Protasewicz beat Daniel Kelly 55.4 to 44.4%. The Republicans did everything they could to win that seat. They fought harder in that seat than they did the Florida seats. And they didn't move the needle an inch. Not one slight little bit. E.T. Malcolm Nance thinks that we will be going to war against either Iran or Greenland very soon. B2's on the move. I would have called that conspiracy theory bullshit 3 months ago. The Trump regime is in deep trouble. They should be in their honeymoon period, and their numbers are plummeting. They just got punched in the mouth electorally. The voters literally just punched them in the mouth. They are desperate for distraction. That's what that whole Yemen thing was about that started Signalgate. It was supposed to be a distraction. Woo, we're tough. Look at us. Woo! That's what it was supposed to be. They are desperate for a distraction. So, yeah, we're going to have to keep watching and keep close eye to make sure that they don't start a frickin' war for distraction. Get people killed for distraction. They're more than willing to do it. Randy Oliver, storms are coming. Brother, let me tell you, in more than one way, I agree with you 100%. Folks, I just want to say this again. As we talk about these election results, we cannot do what we did last November. We cannot forget. You and I, we will show up because someone else is getting hurt and it ain't right. We'll show up. Most Americans won't. It's got to affect them personally. We have to keep at that. The messaging cannot be what the Republicans want to talk about. If I get anything into your brain today, please, God, let it be that. We have to remember what happened in November. We have to remember not everyone's like us. Not everyone is like us. We have to remember it. That's why the Republicans are out there sucking up to that WWE or, pardon me, the UFC, all that nonsense. The mob is the sand of the Colosseum, not the marble of Congress. We can never forget that. We can never forget that. So yeah, and folks, these are the kind of people that Republicans are. I want to remind you of this. When Janet Protasewicz won her seat, the guy that ran against her, Daniel Kelly, he was a jerk. He was a self-entitled, whiny little bitch. He thought he was entitled to that seat. His concession speech, just to remind everybody, he refused to congratulate Janet Protasewicz on her victory. He said, and this is a quote, "I wish that in a circumstance like this, I would be able to concede to a worthy opponent, but I do not have a worthy opponent to which I can concede. Really? She beat your ass by 10 points. So fortunately, those are the kind of jackass assholes we're running against. That's a good thing. Not that they're that way. It's a good thing that those are the scumbag losers we're running against. And that's the kind of thing we need to be saying. They're scumbag losers. And in case of Daniel Kelly, he's a two-time loser because Jill Karofsky beat him also. I just wanted, again, for historical reference, this was 2020. This was 2020. Damn near identical results. And again, the amount of money the Republicans threw at those races, 2020, 2023, 2025, we're talking, these are the most expensive Supreme Court races in all of our history. Because they know they have to control those courts. They have to control those courts or they cannot cheat. If they cannot cheat, they cannot win. It's that simple, folks. That's why all politics is local. Imagine if we had more Democrats involved with the local Democratic parties in District 1 and District 6 of Florida, what we could have done. Imagine. Just think about that for a minute. If we had more people involved at the local level, what a difference that would have made last night. Amy, always here to support the show. Why was there zero in court media about Lithuania last few days? What Amy's talking about is we had 4 soldiers die, and it's still completely unexplained. I think what everybody's waiting for is the same thing I'm waiting for. This is not an excuse for the corporate media. They're never going to touch this. But why you're not seeing it in my circles, there's some mention of it on social media. 4 soldiers died. They were in a Hercules support vehicle. That's what tows tanks. It's a big, massive. Think of the biggest tank you've ever seen and bigger. That's a Hercules. 4 soldiers inexplicably in a training mission in Lithuania disappeared. Nobody knows why. Nobody knows why they just took their Hercules and drove off. Here, let me show you what a Hercules uses. I'll pull it up for you real quick. All right, here we go. There's one with the boom up and here we go. Here is a Hercules M88A3 support vehicle. 4 United States soldiers in one of these vehicles. massive, just vanished. Just vanished. They found it at the bottom of a swamp. Poland, by the way, our good friends in Poland helped us recover it. And we don't know. And one of them is still missing. Have all 4 bodies been found? The last I saw, only 3 had been found, and they were still had divers out looking for the 4th one. Did they find the 4th one? You sure about that, Stacy? That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Nobody knows why. Nobody there, and I think they're trying to figure out why. What the hell happened here? Because you remember, and everybody's comparing it to Benghazi, we had what was a completely predictable attack on one of our consulates. They wanted to blame that all on Hillary Clinton that doesn't handle any of the support or any of the security. Wasn't her job. The security wasn't her job. They wanted to blame her for it. But here we have 4 soldiers gone, disappeared. Nobody knows why. Nobody knows why they just took off or how their Hercules ended up at the bottom of a swamp. Nobody knows. That's what Amy's talking about. Trumpers get Guantanamo, we get Mar-a-Lago. I don't know exactly what you mean by that. I wouldn't want to go to either place, to be quite honest with you. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you, Shan. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the show. But yeah, Sherry, it's still under investigation. That's why I haven't touched it. I will when we find out more. I will. And Shan, thank you for really, I mean it. Thank you for being here to support the show. I'm grateful. That's true. Training accidents do happen. This one's just weird as hell. I mean, it's not like it was, they accidentally drove off they drove into a swamp and didn't stop. I mean, they drove into a swamp and didn't stop. I mean, this thing was, deep. This was weird. But I don't want to get sidetracked. Looking back, the only time the Republicans have had any shot, you had to go all the way back to 2019. And you remember the political environment back in 2019. You just had Trump elected, and his honeymoon went on for more than a year. It went on for more than a year. Don't kill me is justified. Paul, why is mainstream left-leaning media emphasize Trump attack on free speech and deporting of illegal citizens? What happened to holding power to account? Guy, I don't know what to tell you. We're talking about it all the damn time. We're talking about it all the time. And that's the kind of stuff I'm telling you has to be the messaging. That's the kind of stuff that has to be the messaging. This is 2019. This is during Trump's honeymoon period. This is this is the best they could possibly do. It was during a red wave. And it was razor thin when, again, we didn't turn out. Look at those numbers. It's not their numbers that are amazing. It's our numbers that there's 400,000 voters that didn't show up. And that's one of the things that we have to worry about is our discipline. If Democrats are out there completely screwing the pooch with their messaging, oh, well, show the fuck up anyways. That's a big part of our problem is the feels. My one issue, so I can't show up and we can't afford that. We can't. I think she's kind of talking about us I think he's kind of talking about us. I think that's what he's talking about. Because it's like me, Midas, Hal Sparks, David Packman, that's the left, man. There is no right-wing corporate media or left-wing corporate media. Not anymore. Heather Angus Hobbs, respect from Canada. Thank you for being here, my Canadian friend. Thank you for sticking with us. Titus, amen, brother. Titus is a good one. If y'all aren't following Titus, you're depriving yourself. You're talking about a guy that's both politically just a firebomb thrower, but also funny as shit, man. I mean, he's good. He's good. But after the election last night, if you don't want to know, I mean, how fast they're running, how fast they are running. Yeah, that's about it, right? You got the Rachel Maddow show. The rest of the shows on MSNBC are Republicans or former Republicans. Michael Steele, the former chairman of the Republican Party, has a show on MSNBC. I mean, come on. Come on. But Musk, after talking all his smack about, whoo, man, this election in Wisconsin is the most important thing in the universe. We're all going to die if we lose. Yeah, he after yesterday's loss, he's like, no big deal. No big deal. The important thing is that we had a voter ID amendment passed. That's the big deal. That's the big deal. It doesn't matter that we lost. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He put this out. Trump's doing the same thing. Oh, we got this. We won because we got this. Well, I got news for you. Most Democrats don't oppose voter ID. And that's another thing, folks. I want to put a pause in the show for a second. I want to talk about that. Voter ID. This is another one where, for whatever reason, the Democratic Party strategists don't realize they're not just talking to themselves. The average person does not care about voter ID. In fact, the average Democrat thinks it's a good idea to have voter ID. They do. Why the hell would we spend a moment opposing anything like this? Yes, I understand. If you understand the details of politics and how close these elections can be, that there will be grandmas out there that do not have their IDs, that do not, and they vote, and their votes are important. And when it comes down to elections, with some of these elections literally come down to single digits. I get it, but it is not worth arguing over voter ID. For that, I got a better idea. Get involved with your local Democratic Party, and one of the things your local Democratic Party can do is go get everybody a freaking ID. How about training our people to vote? Hello? Stop trying to fight against rivers. I got news for you. Even guns. Everybody hates these tragedies. Yes, we can beat the shit out of Republicans for their rhetoric on guns. Do you know how many Democrats want to give up their guns? None. We don't control that messaging. We don't. And we can't run on it because to your average Democrat, it's not as important as what affects their lives. Come on, people. Come on. We can do better. And I am on a warpath to get you involved with your local Democratic Party and get some of these initiatives pushed through. Let's get old timers that don't have IDs. Yeah. We have 18 months to the next election. A little less than that, actually. And then you shave off the 6 months prior to that, where it is pure election time. They're not going to be doing shit. So really, as far as legislatively is concerned, you've got a year to set the tone on all this stuff, because ain't shit happen in the middle of election time. Not that'll piss anybody off. Come on, people. The clock is ticking. Come on. I'm fired up today. I don't know if you can tell. I am fired up today. I am. Good job, Wisconsin. I got to tell you. Good job. Amazing job. You Democrats that showed up in Florida, amazing job. Amazing job. You did something in those elections in Florida that nobody in the establishment thought you could do. They did not believe these would be the numbers coming out of Florida. They thought it was going to be a 20-point ass kicking, 20 to 25 points. That's what they thought. They thought we might move the needle 5 points, maybe 6. You move the needle 20 points, 20 freaking points. Even the folks in the corporate media are going, did we piss off the wrong people? Are we doing this right? I mean, good job, people. That was the message you needed to send. Now, victory would have been better. A victory, you would have seen people leaving the Republican Party. If you would have won either one of those seats, you'd have seen people leaving the Republican Party. Thank you, Wisconsin. Yes. Kathy D. Yes. Amen. I am with you on this. Thank you, Wisconsin. Thank you, the Democratic voters of Florida. This right here. Jody Alvarez, one, thank you for being here and supporting the show. And two, thank you for bringing this up. We've got the hands-off protests that are coming up. This is the right messaging. This is the right messaging and the right use of protests. Again, if you see somebody telling you, take the battery out of your phone, put your phone away, and wear a mask at a protest, that person is planning on being a fucking criminal. And you do not go along with those people. Honest, good, hardworking people that understand they're not giving up their First Amendment will show the hell up to these protests. They will film. They will film. Phones out. That's what I keep saying. Phones out. You see anybody in these shenanigans, you get a face so that we can identify which right-wing, red, false flag son of a bitch that is. But these protests are going to be huge. These are going to be huge. These are people that are finally getting the message. And those dumbasses, those Republican dumbasses that showed up and voted for people that are going to rubber stamp, taking away their Social Security, taking away their Medicare, those are the people that are going to start getting the message that, oh, that's a possibility. Because they really right now are still kidding themselves. Linda Orr, thank you for being here. Thanks for supporting the show. I appreciate you. But the Republicans, I got to tell you, a couple different angles we got to talk about. They are backpedaling hard. They are backpedaling hard. Signalgate, not letting it go. Not letting it go. It's just exploding and manifesting because it's the incompetence we were talking about. It's breathtaking incompetence. You took a Fox News host and you made him in charge of the Department of Defense. This is what you get. This is the stupid shit you get, and they're going to continue to do stupid shit. And then you've got White House. You got Levitt here, who's a freaking joke. I mean, I don't even have a good nickname for her. What, dumbass Barbie? She's there. Case closed. It's over. Oh, the hell it is. Oh, the hell it is. The hell it is. Because it keeps morphing and it keeps growing, and we're going to keep talking about it. Pete Hegseth's wife, I want to know, has she been in on any of these Signal chats? Does she have access to Pete Hegseth's personal phone where he's transmitting and receiving classified information over an app, a free app? What does his wife know? What is she involved in? Why did she go to briefings at the Pentagon? Why was Pete Hegseth's wife at briefings at the Pentagon? Ms. Ratchet, the Fox News producer. And what was she briefed on? What systems does she have access to? You think this is going away? Oh, no, wait till you see what we do to you after the midterms. Yeah, you're going to see her sitting in a chair testifying in Congress about everything she was involved in. David McKinney, thank you, sir. I appreciate you. I appreciate the support. No shit. And it's not just his wife, who I want to know, has she been on any of these Signal group chats? Is she in the group? Is she sitting there watching him as she's traveling around to high-level NATO meetings that she has no business being at? Is she watching him send these on his phone? I want to know. This ain't going away. Not by a damn sight this ain't over. Sherry Edwards, thank you for being here. Thanks for supporting the show. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And it's not just his wife. Not just his wife. I want to know. I want to know. I demand to know. And so should you. This is from USA Today. Hegseth makes the Pentagon a family affair as wife and brother brought to official business. Yeah, it's not just his wife. It's podcaster Phil. Podcaster Phil. His podcaster brother is going to official meetings, who's now been made the DOD liaison to Homeland Security. Yeah, what kind of classified information is podcaster Phil getting from both Homeland Security, puppy killer Kristi Noem over at Homeland Security, and the DOD? What kind of classified shit is podcaster Phil privy to? Not to mention, yes, the pure. Yeah, thank you, Mary. Thank you. Not to mention just the pure nepotism of him now getting podcaster Phil now getting a government paycheck. Oh, this ain't over by a damn sight. Sorry, dumbass Barbie. No, it ain't over. Kay Allen, Republicans failed basic operational security. Hetty's wife has clearance, ? And bro too, ? Exactly. Did they give them clearances? Oh no, we're not done asking these questions by a damn sight. Sherry Purpura, thank you for being here. I hope I got that name right. I hope I did. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the show. Sharon Reddy, always here, longtime supporter. Thank you. And seeing the new supporters is amazing. Sharon's always here to support the show. But, the same people cannot carry this forever. Having the new people means that we're growing, means that we're going to survive. Sharon Reddy, we are the judges of the accounting. They are warned. Amen. Amen. Thank you. Having new supporters like you here, Sherry Purpura, is just, and I know I'm probably killing your last name. I'm sorry. You need to correct me in the chat. I read the chat during the show. Love you folks. But yeah, oh no, we are not done. Paco Sullivan, another new supporter. Thanks for being here, friend. But yeah, things are just falling apart. It is not a good time to be a Republican. You've got Moses Johnson, Speaker Johnson, facing a revolt on his end because, and I love Steve Scalise and Moses Johnson are losing their damn minds over this. Speaker Johnson suffers defeat as GOP rebels tank effort to block remote voting for new parents. You remember we had a Democratic congresswoman with her fresh as frost, brand new baby, had to show up on the floor and vote with her baby because they won't allow proxy voting. It's part of it's that whole right-wing bullshit thing about you got, no remote jobs. It's all pandering to the oligarchs. It's the same nonsense. It's the same bullshit. Take away, make you as poor as possible. You deserve as little as possible. You cannot demand better things. You can't demand perks at your job. You can't, we can't have people work remotely. We can't. It's that whole nonsense. And they're like, well, we're going to do it to you too, Congress people in the Republican caucus. Because if we don't do it to you, then we can't say we're going to do it to everybody else, because it looks like hypocrisy. And Looney Luna from Florida, Anna Paulina Looney Luna didn't get the message. And several Republicans joined her and broke camp and did the amazing thing. These are the kinds of things we've got to talk about. Oh, no, they want to work remotely. They want to, if you're a new parent, you should be able to stay home for 3 months. That should be the rules. 3 months. You should be able to stay home with your baby. And Steve Scalise is like, we're taking that away from the American people. It doesn't look good if you get it for yourself. Why don't you get that? And they're like, well, we deserve it. We deserve it. And that's what I mean. People will vote for their own interests. Never lose sight of that. Never lose sight of that. Oregon wine lady and Trump pick for head of Joint Chief isn't the guy he thought it was. Yeah, he's a moron. Mark Pawlowski, Hegseth knows more about triple sec than OPSEC. That's good, man. I love you people. That is good. Exactly, Marianne Giesler. Forced birth, but you can't vote. Absolutely. So yeah, old Moses Johnson, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, had a hissy fit and fell back in it when his parliamentary maneuver to block this rule change failed because of they had Republican defectors that voted with the Democrats. So what did Johnson do? Had a hissy fit. He shut down our government for a week. Yeah. They're not going to do anything. He went to a camera. That picture you just saw of him. He that's a true Stetson. This one is, this one's, I buy Resistol and Stetson usually. Yeah. But he went to a camera. That picture you saw of Mike Johnson. He went to a camera and stood there and said, well, because of this, we're going to have to stop all voting for the week. We just have to do it. It's just got to be done because it's this one vote has broken the entire system, and we're going to have to fix it before we can hold any more votes. And Republicans ran to cameras after him and said, no, we don't. No, we don't. We're 100% rubber stamping anything Donald Trump wants. Put it on the floor. We'll vote for it. Again, not the messaging you want. I'm telling you, folks, as long as we keep talking about this shit, they want for themselves to be able to vote remotely. But not you. No, sir. Ordering every one of those federal employees back into the office. It's one of their demands. Doge is doing it. But you want to vote remotely? And then you step all over our message that, oh, well, we just got to shut everything down for the week because it's broke. You Republicans say, oh, no, you're willing to rubber stamp everything Trump does. We don't have to shut nothing down. Just call it to a vote. This is all on Speaker Johnson. They are a freaking disaster, folks. They are a disaster. And I love we're getting more and more Democratic stars just coming out. Guns blazing, man. Imagine big old battleship. Boom, boom, boom. I mean, it's just, I am loving what's going on with the Democratic base. This just happened. Ranking member, Sydney Kamliger Dove. Well, here, let me let you hear it in her words.
Majority is relitigating a made-up conspiracy theory about a part of the State Department that no longer exists to distract from the dumpster fire foreign policy this administration is pursuing and elevating a serial sexual harasser as their star witness in the process. Mr. Chair, I request unanimous consent to enter into the record 2 articles about the Republican witness Matt Taibbi. The first is a Chicago Reader article entitled 20 Years Ago in Moscow, Matt Taibbi was a misogynist a-hole and possibly worse, and a Washington Post article titled The 2 Expat Bros Who Terrorized Women Correspondents in Moscow.
Without objection.
This hearing could not be more out of touch with the concerns of everyday Americans. People's retirement savings are being decimated as Trump's arbitrary temper tariffs tank the stock market. They are staring down the barrel of cuts to their Social Security and Medicare because the Republican majority wants to give a tax break to billionaires like Elon Musk, who have deep financial ties to our adversaries. Meanwhile, Trump is siding with Putin against our national security interests and risking the lives of American soldiers in a Signal group chat. I've been to the State Department, and I do have concerns about censorship of the employees who are terrified to say the wrong thing, to say anything, or have the wrong word in their job title and be terminated by an administration that publicly relishes punishing people for their.
That is Rep. Kamlacher Dove. She is a California Democrat from the LA area. And all I could hear while that was going on was theme music in the background. And this is how we do it. This is how we do it. I'm telling you, man, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. We have more Democrats just coming out of the woodwork, guns blazing, that understand, stay on topic. Keep it on topic. What the Republicans would thank you for supporting the show, Tiffany Simmons. Thank you. I really appreciate you. I really do. What the Republicans were trying to do there was they were talking about the First Amendment. The Democrats just hate the First Amendment. They're trying to censor all our right-wing people that are on all over freaking social media spreading Nazi bullshit, apparently are feeling censored. So they were going to bring this guy in. This is Matt Taibbi, by the way. This is the guy that Elon Musk brought in to Twitter when he first tanked it and then ended up having to eject him out of the building. This is Matt Taibbi. Matt Taibbi, the face of the First Amendment for the Republican Party, who is going to be their witness. You should read some of the news stories about old Matt Taibbi. One spent years in Russia where he attacked independent journalists, especially when they were gross, misogynist, gross, sick sons of bitches. And this is who Republicans, again, they're idiots, they're morons. They bring Matt Taibbi up to be the face of the Republican Party as their witness. Like, we can't go back and look at all that shitbag did when he was sucking up to Putin in Russia, attacking independent journalists, attacking women. Freaking gross. There are article after article after article about Matt Taibbi in Russia. Good. Make him the face of your party. Make him what you think the First Amendment is all about. Good. These are the things that we really need to be talking about it. And they want to talk about, as a distraction, they want to talk about Greenland. Okay, they want to talk about Greenland. I'm not going to talk about what you want to talk about. I'm going to talk about what's really going on, and I'm never going to let you forget. I'm going to make you regret bringing the word Greenland up at all. And this is one of those things where I warn you. Don't have the arguments they want to have. Don't. But when they screw up royally and go against what the average person thinks and feels is important to them, oh, absolutely, beat the shit out of them. Like Sun Tzu said, when your enemy's making a mistake, don't interrupt them. And I got to tell you, they cannot stop screwing this up. Oh, Putin just gave a speech in Murmansk. If you don't know where Murmansk is, it's up around the Arctic Circle in Russia. It's one of the northern sub bases and is a military town, basically. He just gave a speech during their Arctic conference where he endorsed Trump taking Greenland. Think about that. Putin endorsed Trump taking Greenland. Yeah, you think it might serve his interests? Think it might drive a wedge between us and our allies to break up the United States and Europe, to give Putin more advantage? Putin's also okay with Trump invading Canada, by the way. Yeah, I mean, like, that's a good thing. I don't follow Putin's advice for what's good for America and its allies. That would be a mistake, folks. That would be a mistake. But let's talk about Greenland for a minute and what it's all about. And to understand, you've got to just look at, just ask the question, why? Why does he want Greenland? And a lot of folks are like, it's just a distraction. Oh no, Trump wants to be a hero. He wants to be loved. He won't ever admit it, but he wants to be loved. And that idiot listened to the Republicans, the Russians, and Russian suck-ups in his inner circle. And Putin told him to do this. And Trump thinks he's going to be a hero. And let me explain why. Don Huber, thank you for being here. New supporter, thank you for being here. Is it Huber or Huber? Let me know. New contributor, thank you for being here. Constitutional Convention will end direct vote of U.S. senators appointed by state legislatures. No more Warnock or Ossoffs, never another tester. I'm telling you, folks, that is no joke. That is something we're watching. That's why we had a whole segment on it on the show. I'm telling you, they're dying to get a constitutional convention. They are trying really hard. Really hard. To understand this whole Greenland thing, you've got to, one, understand when you ask why, always follow the money. Always follow the money. This is Prudhoe Bay, Alaska. This is the northern end of the Alaskan pipeline. Folks, the Alaskan pipeline has pumped 18 billion barrels of oil. This is where Prudhoe Bay is. But there's a problem with drilling up there. Now, the old geologic surveys would tell us, oh man, there's just unlimited gas and oil north of Alaska. Oh my God, it's just unlimited. They're finding out not so much. This is a map of the Alaskan pipeline. It runs from Prudhoe Bay all the way down through Fairbanks down to Valdez. Y'all remember the Exxon Valdez that so famously caused the ecological disaster when it cracked apart and spilled its oil all over the place? Okay. There's two things I want you to pay attention here. There's the ANWR. It's the national wildlife, the Alaskan National Wildlife Refuge, ANWR, and NPR Alaska. NPR Alaska is it's our oil reserves. Basically, it was established back in the early 1900s as an oil reserve for the Navy. They're government-controlled reserves. Not a lot of drilling you could do. You can't drill in ANWR. The Republicans keep trying. The Democrats keep overturning it. The national reserves are our reserves, so they limit what you can drill there. So the easy drilling, there just ain't that much you can do in northern Alaska. Comparatively, I mean, think about it, folks. They've discovered fields in Venezuela. You're talking about maybe 30 billion barrels of oil on the good side in the fields out there that they're thinking about developing. In Venezuela and that region, there's over 200 billion barrels of oil, and it's much easier to drill. So think about it for perspective. What does it mean? It means that oil companies have pretty much given up. And stick with me. We're going back to Greenland with this. Trust me, we are. Oil companies have pretty much just given up on Alaska. Shell spent $7 billion. This is not the primary focus, folks. You have to remember, oil companies are global. They're not American. If you think Mobil is an American company, you're an idiot. They are global. They're looking at where they're going to drill, where they can get access to oil cheaply and quickly. But they're also looking at development of new fields all the time. Alaska is problematic for them. And it takes billions of dollars, which Shell walked away from a $7 billion. This is the Shell Kuluk oil platform. You probably remember seeing this in the news. This is the Kuluk oil platform. They were towing it. They had built it here in the States, and they were towing it up to drill in the Beaufort Sea. They ran into some weather, broke loose from its tug, and ended up washed up on by the Kodiak Islands in Alaska. Wasn't the only problem that it had. They ended up recovering it. They ended up dragging it up to the Beaufort Sea. I'll show you where the Beaufort Sea is. But the wells that it drilled up there just didn't produce like they had hoped. They were disappointing. So Shell walked away from a almost $8 billion investment in drilling off the coast of Alaska because it's just too problematic. And everything they were having to spill. Y'all have heard what blowout preventers are. Y'all remember from the leak that we had down in the Atlantic where they couldn't plug it because it was so deep, and the blowout preventers didn't work, so it was just dumping oil out all over. Y'all remember these? They had to build special blowout preventers because they're drilling in the Beaufort Sea by Anwar, which is expensive, and the technology didn't work. You see, this thing's crushed like a beer can. The engineering that they were just didn't work. It was one problem after another, after another, after another. But you know what doesn't have that problem? Have those kind of complications? Greenland. And remember, I told you they were kind of disappointed when they started drilling out in the Beaufort. See, this is the Beaufort Sea right here this is the Arctic Circle. The blue ring is the Arctic Circle. This is the Bering Sea where you had to drag, everything around. This little spot right here is Kodiak Island, where that oil platform ended up coming to a rest after it broke loose in the storm. But this is the Beaufort Sea, and that's Prudhoe Bay right here. They thought this was just going to be Valhalla for oil production. The test wells that they drilled, not so much. Not so much. But they have newer geologic surveys that are better, that show that in another part of the Arctic Ocean, there's a field out there with oil and gas to the tune of about 30 to 35 billion barrels of oil. Guess where that field is? Anybody? Anybody? Bueller. Anybody know where that new field is that they've got the geologic surveys that says there's 30 billion to 35, maybe even 40 billion barrels of oil? Greenland. Greenland. Absolutely. 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 So you've got the oil industry that's really getting tired of Alaska. They're getting tired of the fight because, sure, Trump's saying, drill, baby, drill, do whatever you want up in Alaska. Go ahead. Well, there isn't the price per barrel of oil to support the investment. And then there's the political fallback because, when Trump gets his ass kicked, gets the Republican Party decimated, and we've got a Democratic president next election, what are they going to do to all those drilling permits in ANWR? They're going to revoke them. So the oil companies know that. But you know where there isn't a wildlife refuge? Greenland. It's no problem. Let me go to Google Maps. This red area right here, by the way, is Kodiak Islands. That's where that rig ran ashore. But let's go around here. This is the globe view of Google Maps. And you see that the Arctic Circle runs right here, right about where the name Greenland is. I want you to take a look at, one second. All right. This is Pitifuk, or Pitifik. This is where our space base is in Greenland. Formerly Thule Air Force Base, but when Trump did that ridiculous Space Force nonsense, they had to come up with something for Space Force to do, so they transferred Thule Air Force Base to the Space Force. So there's now Pitifuk Space Base. So when you go to Google it, don't Google Thule Air Force Base. Google Pitifuk Space Base. This is where it's at. In northern Greenland. And remember, we just talked about up here in northern Greenland, where you can damn near throw a rock and hit the North Pole from. They've got geologic surveys that show there are massive amounts of gas and oil up there. Now, why is Pitifuk important? Why am I showing you Pitifuk? Okay. How do you think Pitifuk, I'm going to pull it down for just a second, and then I'll bring it back up. How do you think Pitifuk is supported? I mean, logistically, come on, folks, think. We're talking real world here, not the bullshit you see out of the Trump regime and not the stuff you see on Fox News. In the real world, you've got Pitifuk Space Base that needs supplies, and there ain't no highway going to it. How is it supplied? Well, I'll tell you. I'll just tell you. Every year, they have a supply mission that loads up enough equipment, lumber, building materials, concrete, food, everything. It's called Operation Pacer Goose. And it goes from the naval yards down in Norfolk, down here in Norfolk, Virginia. We're in Norfolk, Virginia. They load up a ship with enough food, supplies, everything for their mission for a year. All the heavy equipment they're going to need, any new equipment. And they sail all the way up here, to Pitifuk. And they do it in the summertime because the ships can get through the ice. The ice is pretty thin in the summertime. And they resupply them every year. Think about this. If you want to drill in the Arctic, the Barents Sea and the Beaufort Sea are a pain in the ass. You've got wildlife refuges. You've got terrible weather. The weather here is actually not that bad in this part because of the current, our current Atlantic currents. It's actually not that bad to ship up there. And you already have Nuuk, which is the capital of Greenland. One second. You know what? I'm going to highlight it. Hold on. Nuuk, Greenland. You have Nuuk, Greenland, which is the capital of Greenland. It is a year-round port. You can ship to it all year long. This is Nuuk right here. Give you an idea of the location. It is outside the Arctic Circle. That port is a year-round port. So if you're drilling and you have logistics issues, one, you don't have to worry about losing $1 billion drilling platform to bad weather. It's relatively good weather compared to trying to ship something to the Arctic through the Barents Sea. For the Bering Sea, pardon me. And you've got Nuuk, an amazing staging facility that already has a huge port. The land is dirt cheap. So if you want to build warehouses and facilities, you can ship all year round to Nuuk. Think about the logistics, folks. And we're talking about mining. We're talking about, they keep talking about rare earths, which just annoys the shit out of me, but they keep talking about rare earth. Mining takes big equipment and a lot of logistical support. Greenland has it all. In fact, if they wanted to build a pipeline across Greenland, it wouldn't be that hard. It's got ice sheets that really don't melt and go away. Exactly, Ron. Exactly. So Trump thinks he's going to be a hero. He's going to be the guy that brings us the Alaska pipeline all over again. He thinks he's going to secure for the Republican Party corporate support forever because he's got the balls to do what it takes to take Greenland. It's not just a distraction. It's not. It's money. It's the broligarchs doing all of the shit that they're doing right now to put people out of jobs. And I'll remind you again, the federal government isn't in D.C. 80% of your federal government isn't in Washington, D.C. The top 5 states for federal employees are California, Maryland, Virginia, then there's Texas, and number 5 is Florida. They're slashing jobs all over the place, crippling economies. At the exact same time, they're trying to use our military might, piss on our allies, because Trump thinks he's going to be a hero and deliver for the oil companies, who will then write them checks forever. Folks, nobody's behind this. Nobody's behind this. Nobody's behind the absolute destruction of NATO that will happen if we try to do this. Denmark ain't cool with it. Europe's not cool with it. They have their own plans and aspirations for Greenland. They do. They just do. This is Putin's idea. Because Putin's going to take Ukraine in his sick mind. Putin's going to take Poland in his sick mind. Putin's going to take Lithuania in his sick mind. So the United States will take Panama, Canada, and Greenland. Fair's fair. These are the insane conversations these people are having out loud. So yeah, there is plenty we have to talk about. There's plenty that we have going into these next few elections that we can talk about that people really care about. People really care about sending their kids off to fight our NATO allies because Trump wants to give the oligarchs more money. I got an idea. Instead of that, there's 200 plus billion barrels of oil and natural gas in Venezuela. I got an idea. Support democracy in Venezuela and let the oil companies develop there. Where there's 8 times the resources. You know, the largest oil reserves are always around the equator, folks. That's where most of the dinosaurs lived during the extinction. They didn't live at the poles. There are other options that make a lot more sense, including reducing the amount of oil that we're using going forward. Folks, we can do this. Speaking of putting my Democrat hat back on, we can do this. There's messaging out there. Just the sheer stupidity, the insanity of everything Republicans try to do. You're going to piss on our best allies so that the oligarchs can get a $30 billion oil reserve when we could just engage. This is as stupid as Elon Musk trying to sell people with, we're going to go to Mars. Why? Because we're screwing up the planet. And Mars we'll terraform Mars and make it livable, and we're going to go to Mars. Really? If you could terraform Mars, maybe we can unfuck this planet. Just makes more sense. We're already here. Anyways, folks, that's what I got for you today. Thank you for spending your time with me. I'd like to do just a few minutes of roundtable because I really want to get your thoughts on what I'm talking about. About not having the conversations that Republicans want us to have. Maintaining the message to the people. I want you to put your hats on for a second, and I want you to realize we're not talking to each other. We're having to win votes over with people that are self-centered enough that if it doesn't directly affect them, they don't care. And they kind of like the bigotry. I didn't realize this has been a real, I got to say thank you to Trump for one thing. He has shown me there's a lot of bigotry out there. There's a lot of bigotry out there. And that directly affects these people. Racism is one hell of a drug. So what do you think, people? Do you think we should be just focused on, let's keep focusing on the incompetence. Let's keep focus on the disasters. Let's keep making people scared because it is scary. It's comforting that we have our good friends in Europe that are our friends. That's comforting. It is comforting that we work together. And they're ripping that away. That affects people directly. What do you think, folks? What do you think? Am I barking up the right tree? Yep. Robin M. And while we were sleeping, our National Guard troops were sent to Bosnia to train them. Bosnia is Putin friendly. Yep. They're just going to get us more and more in bed with Russia. They just are. Maria Rodriguez, another new supporter. Thank you for being here. The new supporters are amazing. Putin wants to create a worldwide Soviet Union 2.0. He has been blatantly open about that. Nita Hansen, it's making more sense why Republicans are for global warming. No more icebergs to get around. Oh, man, I tell you, they just don't give a damn. Why haven't the rare minerals been mined already? There aren't good reasons to mine or drill there. Demand. We're trying to change our economy away from being so oil reliant, and that's going to require new technologies, and those new technologies require minerals, and minerals are found in the ground. See, I'll never tell you we don't need oil. I'm not one of those left-wingers that do that shit. If you got rid of if you got rid of gasoline today, snap your fingers, boom, gasoline's gone. All cars are electric. We have the power grid in place to support them, yada, yada, yada. Magic happens overnight. You would still need 40% of the oil that we're using now for the other products we get out of oil that you can't get other places. Yes, EVZant, petroleum products are everywhere. They're in just about every manufacturing process. So we might as well do it right. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. And we're getting more and more on the tariff front, causing trade wars. He's going to drive up inflation with his stupid trade wars. Yes, exactly. Machines don't lubricate themselves. Great messaging. Mandolius, great messaging. This is the kind of thing that I'm saying we need to be banging away on. They want to talk about trans people. You go talk about trans people. Every time you're a Democrat and somebody asks you a question about transgender, whatever, talk about being a Soviet satellite nation. Don't answer the question. Don't have the conversation. And here's the problem, folks. Part of that problem is coming from within the House because we have a lot of activists. The gun lobby is one of the things. The anti-gun lobby is another thing. They fundraise off of these conversations. They fundraise off of this. It serves the Republicans, but we have people that are on our side that are fighting for LGBTQ plus rights that fundraise when that is the number one subject we're talking about. It's more attention for them, which is what the Republicans want. It's complicated, folks. It is complicated. Kay Allen, bluntly, Trump's bad for business. Bingo. That is a great message. You know, they think Amy says we're in World War III and Trump is siding with Access. The Axis is what is what I think she was saying there. Thank you, Amy, for always being here to support the show. Yeah, I knew that's what you meant. The Axis. I really think they're deluding themselves enough to believe they're getting high on their own supply. They're getting high on their own supply. Sharon Reddy, Trump will be remembered as the one who ended U.S. power and standing on the world. Yeah. He's going to diminish us globally because our strength has always been our friends and our trade relations, and he's destroying them all because he thinks he's going to have this stupid Republican Valhalla thing. Amen. Great job, Wisconsin. Thank you for being here, Johnny. We're another new supporter. Amazing. Thank you for being here. So happy to celebrate with all of you from Wisconsin. And if you think the Republicans aren't really here, let me play you this video clip. I put this, I shared this yesterday from my profile on Blue Sky. Again, it was Aaron Rupar. I want you to listen to this Republican in this Freudian slip here. They try to stay on messaging. They do, but they can't do it.
Let's bring that approach not to just what DOGE is doing, discretionary spending, but let's look at Medicare. Is there some way that we can cut Medicare so that reform Medicare so that benefits stay the same, but that is less expensive, more efficient? I would say.
Yeah, let's listen to that one more time.
Look at Medicare. Is there some way that we can cut Medicare so that reform Medicare?
I didn't mean to say cut Medicare. We're going to reform it, just like trickle down. We're going to give all the money to the billionaires, and you're going to get rich because of it. Magic. It's magic. They're trying to sell that same bullshit about Medicare. We're going to reform the shit out of Medicare. Kind of like the same way that your bills reform your wallet. They're going to reform Medicare, as in slash it. And it's suddenly magically going to be better for you. We're going to make it better. Bullshit. There ain't no free lunch. Shit costs money. This is the kind of stuff we've got to bang away at constantly. Ariel Campbell, I'm going to give you the last word because, amen, you can't fix stupid. You can't fix stupid. Amen, brother. And with that, enjoy some Texas cities at night.